All right, man, peace. So, brothers, probably the longest running series that I have on this channel is the Paternity Test Should Be Mandatory series. And the reason why that series will always be the longest running series is because that is the issue that I believe that many of you brothers need to concentrate on. And it's always going to be about paternity, not even so much the actual action of testing to see if the child is yours, but just the decision-making factors that always weigh heavily on the future of a lot of brothers. I get so many cats on my channel in the comment section, 35, 40, 45, 50 years old even, who state in the comments, where were you 20 years ago? Where were you 25, 30 years ago when I needed you? This is why I make these videos, because brothers have to understand that being a neophyte or being someone who's relatively precocious or lacks understanding about life, that's not going to be an excuse when you make a decision that alters your life forever. At 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. People are not going to care how old you are or were when you make a bad decision. So you always have to keep that shit in mind, especially when it comes to these women. Because the woman is north today, she's south tomorrow, she's east the next day, she's west the day after that. You have to understand that. The woman is not somebody that you're going to be able to count on to be consistent and to be stable-minded every day. She's not even going to be stable from hour to hour. And once the woman is impregnated with your child, you're going to see a different aspect of that woman. I've seen it. I've had so many brothers that I've known in my life, family members, friends, who said the same thing. Oh, I can't believe how much she changed. She didn't change. You just were not paying attention. She showed you who she was a long time ago. You were just not paying attention because the so-called black man is raised to believe that the ups and downs of the woman, the tantrums, are something that not only you should expect, but are a part of a natural relationship. No, they're not, brothers. Your life and your relationships are supposed to be placid. And if the woman does not know how to be placid, you're not supposed to be trying to build with her. You can't build a house on shaky ground. All right. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in. This person here, Alicia Carter, she was able to seduce some simpleton into impregnating her on one of these so-called one-night stands. So they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Plaintiff Alicia Carter says she met the defendant when she was 19 years old, and after they had sex, Alicia got pregnant. Alicia claims the defendant denied paternity, then went to prison for over 4 years. Alicia is suing the defendant for child expenses. Defendant Leonard Sharp believes he wore...
Leonard Sharp. He needs to change that last name because ain't nothing sharp about his ass.
...wore protection every time he and Alicia had sex, and that's why he had doubts about being the father. Leonard claims he saw the baby one time before going to prison, and he's petitioning the court today for a paternity test.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
Okay, so I met the defendant, Mr. Sharp, Braylon's dad, in 2011. I was 19 in Arizona. We were just having fun and...
Brothers, you hear that? She said we were just having fun. Who was that singer who came out with that song over 30 years ago, Girls Just Want to Have Fun? Was that Cyndi Lauper? Always listen to these songs that these females sing, brothers. They're revealing things about their nature. They think that life is fun and games, and they believe that they're the only ones who have the ability to go from being quote-unquote playful or engaging in levity and turning things deathly serious at a moment's notice, but it has to be at their whim. Always remember that life is a game, but you have to play that game very, very seriously. The woman believes that everything is about fun, and that's why it's so easy for them to transition from one situation to the next situation. It's all about fun and whimsicality for them. So you have to make decisions for yourself and for your child. You cannot allow the woman to make decisions because the woman is going to go according to her lust at the moment.
We had mutual friends, and we had sex, and I got pregnant.
So you guys had sex because you had mutual friends?
And then, like, he was denying, like, my son and, like, saying, like, it ain't his, like, go get the abortion.
That's another thing. Brothers, if you know that you're laying down with a hoe, don't automatically say the baby is not yours because you knew that it was a hoe you were laying down with. That's even more reason for you to understand that for the next 6 months, 5 months, while the baby is gestating in her womb, that you have to be determined to get that DNA test done as soon as it's born. And you're going to have to take that L if it's yours. You're going to have to take that L. All right? So I make these videos once again for a lot of you young brothers who have not had this situation happen to you. Okay? Take the shit very seriously. It's not a game. It's not a joke.
And then, like, later on down the line, he ended up, like, catching a case and going to prison.
How old was the child?
He caught a case. Well, who threw it at him?
Out when he went to prison. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
His case started when I was pregnant. So, like, when I had my son, he was already, like, out here, like, fighting the case. So for 4.5 years, he didn't see my son. So when he finally...
When he went behind bars, how old was the child when you went behind bars?
A few months. He was born in June of 2013. I mean, of 2012.
2012.
And I went to prison November 2013.
Okay, so up until that time, he had not accepted paternity, or had he embraced you and the child? Or?
He kept denying, like, the baby's not mine.
So when he went to prison, he was still saying it wasn't his?
Yes, until a certain time up, and then he understood, like, okay, you know, it clicked in his head, I guess. Like, he has a child with me, and, like, he was talking like, okay.
How old was the child when he acknowledged?
I would say about 2.
Okay. And what has it been like since then?
It has been hell.
How so?
You love hell. Brothers, let me say something, and it's very important for a lot of cats to get this, especially a lot of you younger brothers. And that's why I harp on this understanding about serenity and peace. Most people, period, but especially most women, do not know how to deal with a monotonous paradigm. What do I mean by that? Life is about accepting the cyclical nature of things. The clock moves the same way every day. The sun, the moon, the migrations of the animals, the currents of the winds, they all move in the same ways or in patterns. And that's meant to show us that we also have to accept the monotonous nature of life. That's how you bring harmony to your life. That's how you bring serenity to your life. And not always be out there searching for the latest thrill. And most of these women are searching for thrills until they're about 45. That's when they start to mature as people, when they get around 45 years old. So please understand that when you decide to deal with these females on any type of level and they're 18, 20 years old, that's nothing but a sperm receptacle for the most part. Certain people might not like me saying that. But in this society, the woman is not raised to be a wife. She's raised to have fun. So at 18 to 20 years old, there's nothing that you're going to get of meaning out of the average female that age. Are there going to be exceptions to that rule? Yeah, possibly. But you have to search that out. You have to take your time. You can't meet a female on the first night and quote unquote have fun with her and she gets pregnant and think that she's going to understand what it means to be a wife or a mother. And you certainly can't try to go back and forth with her and become cantankerous and say, oh, well, you know, you're a hoe, go get an abortion. No, you got to take that L, bro. You got to take that L. And that's why I accentuate these things so that brothers make better decisions. We have to stop pointing the finger at the woman. The woman is a child with breasts. All right. Once again, people don't like when I say that, but it's the truth. I don't give a damn who don't like that. And when you understand these things and when you accept these things, you put more onus on yourself to make better decisions. And you'll find that things become easier. How you live your life becomes more organized because you're not putting how you think things should go on others. Put them on yourself.
He's a manipulative type of person because I'm younger than him.
What does he do?
Like try to control my social media, what I'm posting or what I'm doing in my social life.
Well, I have news for you. If you're supposed to be the mother of his child and you understand that you're the mother of his child, he should have control over your social media. That's another thing, and that's probably a video for another topic. But brothers, if you're really dealing with a woman hard body, you're supposed to have access to her quote unquote social media and to her phone and all that. But in this society, the woman will try to reject that notion. Why is that? Because those are her enclaves of whoredom and nonsense. That's where she can go and flirt with other men and text other men, and that's basically all that stuff is for. Social media is for women to go on there and make highly sexually suggestive depictions of themselves so that they can get what the woman is infatuated with, that being attention. So if you meet a chick and she's on Instagram and Snapchat and she's posing half naked, she's already telling you what she is. You should be interested in seeing what this broad is putting on these different social media platforms so that you can get an understanding of who she is as a person. Of course, the woman is not going to give you access to those things for the most part, because once again, that is where she goes to express her whore archetype, her whore altar.
Would he try and see his child, or would he meet his financial responsibilities?
He'll do a birthday here and there. Like, it'll be like, it wouldn't be consistent. He's a sometime dad.
Was he working?
That's another ploy by the modern day liberal female to deflect from how short she is coming up when it comes to motherhood and wifehood, etc. Remember, the woman believes that she can define what a man is, what a father is, what a husband is, but you cannot define her. And once again, it's not up to us to go back and forth with the woman. Once you see that that is how she is, then you know how to deal with her. Once you accept the nature of creatures, it becomes far easier to know how to deal with them. A rat has a nature, a serpent has a nature, a lion has a nature. That's why people are trained on how to deal with these animals. Once you observe the nature of the woman, and your woman in particular, or the female that you're thinking about, then you know how to deal with them. Don't worry about trying to change them. You have to first learn how to deal with who they are right now.
He has not been working.
Okay. And lastly, on average, how much does he come or call to see the child?
He barely calls his son. Like, I feel like I'm forcing a relationship with him and my son.
Barely is how often to you?
Once every 3 weeks.
Okay, you give me some background, sir.
I met the plaintiff in 2011, I believe, fall of 2011. I used to travel back and forth to Arizona for business. Come on, man. Where you think the judge is from, man?
I believed it.
Yeah, right.
Come on, man. Who you think you're talking to? We used to run heroin back and forth to Arizona back in '79. I mean, come on.
Right. How many pounds of weed? 300 pounds, 400 pounds, 500? Y'all filling up the U-Haul. You didn't get caught speeding on the freeway, did you? With the bad license plates and all that. I know so many fools. They carry 500 pounds of weed speeding. Going to Arizona.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap there, but I was there for business, Your Honor.
Yeah, that business. Go ahead. Let me leave it alone, man. Go.
It's okay. So I met her, I believe, in the fall of 2011. Again, like she mentioned, through mutual friends. She was young, you know, a little thick, and I was interested. She promised me a good time, a threesome, a foursome.
He's lying.
With her.
No, he ain't lying. He's telling the truth. You promised him a threesome and a foursome. Let me tell you something, brothers. These women have all type of crazy and scandalous sexual shit that they do, especially when they're in that college age. Getting gang banged, getting trains ran on them, and all that other shit. They're the same broads 30 years old want to run on the internet and give relationship advice. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. You still got the semen particles from some dude in sophomore year chemistry class floating around in your vulva. Get the hell out of here.
Some of her buddies.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Now she know. I guess it's been some time, and she getting senile or something. I'm not sure, Your Honor. But like I said, we
She's not gonna come on TV and admit stuff like that. That's expected. But the judge knows what's up.
We ended up embarking on a journey. We had sex the same night we met.
Not a surprise, brothers. Nowadays, you don't even have to take these bros out on a date. You get the digits. First picture she's sending you is of her smile, and the next picture is of her pussy, man. Excuse my language, I'm just being real. Within 3 photos that the broad is sending, you know, she's sending you titties and vagina. And she ready to come to your place that night and give you the ass. And then they'll get on TV and try to act ladylike. That's not true. I was going to make him wait. How long? Couple days.
Unfortunately, the threesome didn't transpire as promised, but...
He said, unfortunately, the threesome didn't transpire.
But we did have sex.
We did not have sex the same night we met because he was...
Let me rewind this back a little bit.
She was young, you know, a little thick, and I was interested. She promised me a good time, a threesome, a foursome.
He's lying.
With her and some of her buddies.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Now she know. I guess it's been some time, and she getting senile or something. I'm not sure, Your Honor. But like I said, we ended up embarking on a journey. We had sex the same night we met.
My man said they embarked on a journey. Who the hell are you, Captain Kirk? You went where no man went before? Well, I got news for you. Plenty of men went there before you, brother.
Unfortunately, the threesome didn't transpire as promised, but we did have sex.
We did not have sex the same night we met because he was in there with someone else the same night we met.
So in other words, you was going to give him the ass that night, but your friend beat you to it.
Well, she should have been in there. She came in after the fact. And I did have sex with her.
I was not there after the fact. I was not even there the same night. I left home.
Yeah, because you had to go to church the next morning, right? We know you're a good girl.
Well, it's her story. I'm going to let her tell it. Even though she had a chance and she didn't mention it, I'm mentioning my part of the story because it's an accurate assertion. After we had sex the initial night, I believe I stayed in Arizona another night or two, and we had sex once or twice again. Usually I wear protection, but these young girls nowadays like to slip you these big Magnum condoms, and I can't fit them. So I don't really know.
Yana, I mean, I was in Arizona. Come to find out, she had the Grand Canyon between her legs. She needed me to have a damn elephant penis. I mean, the bro handed me a weather balloon for a condom, Yana.
Really know what happened with that, so, but I did have protection. I had my own protection, and then I wore some of her protection. I don't know if she poked a hole or slipped off. I don't even remember what happened.
My man said he used his own protection, then he used the protection that she gave him. I mean, how many condoms you need, brother?
I was under the influence.
He never had protection on him.
He was under the influence. He was under the influence of being an idiot.
I don't know what happened, so immediately I was in doubt.
Go ahead.
When she told me she was pregnant, I traveled back to Arizona probably 3-4 times in the course of a couple months. But I did tell her, I live a lifestyle where I'm in the streets. I could get shot. I could go to prison. Anything can happen. And you 1,500, 1,600 miles away from me. I don't know how good of a dad I could be. And I already had.
It don't matter how good of a dad you could be. Understand something. She was attracted to your chaotic nature. Brothers, did you hear what he's been saying? He said, I'm in the streets. I can get shot at any moment. I'm 1,600 miles away. I'm not sure how good of a dad I could be. She does not care. And this is the real aspect of this issue that brothers have to hone in on and scrutinize. Because cats love talking about how the woman loves thugs. Not that the woman loves thugs. She loves that energy from dudes that are operating on her level of chaos. Remember, it's no pressure. If she deals with an orderly man, there's pressure on her to maintain the relationship. If the relationship does not work with a thug, then she can always cast rocks and cast aspersions on him, understanding that this society will always blame the man anyway. So they're not going to hone in on the fact that she's loose, that she's a $2 hoe, that she's laying down with men on the first, second night, offering threesomes and foursomes. And because I believe what he was saying, it's true. She most likely offered him a menage the second night, especially these chicks 19, 20 years old. They're very experimental. And she didn't care if she got pregnant or not because her attitude was she probably wanted a baby anyway because her friends probably all had babies. A lot of these broads do things because their friends are doing it. They have an extreme issue with being able to distinguish why they should be doing something as opposed to what they should be doing. So it's always far more appealing to get impregnated by a loser like this because she knows that if it goes wrong, she can always blame him. If she's with an upstanding man, what most upstanding men have in common is that they've embraced monotony. They can deal with the same thing every day. As a matter of fact, to be successful oftentimes is congruent with living a boring life. Very rarely do people who live according to their latest whims have success. Now, after a long period of success, then you can start to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But attaining success is about embracing the grind. So most people who embrace the grind, they don't have many people around them. The dudes that have a bunch of chicks down the line is because they're starting to live off the fruits of their labor. But just to get back to the point, most of these women, they're not looking for anyone, especially women of that young an age. They're not looking for dudes who are going to force them to become better people. They're just trying to have fun, man.
He had 3 other kids. Sometime in the beginning of 2012, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to make Arizona my home. In April of 2012, I got a phone call out the blue saying, hey, come back home to Illinois. Your brother was murdered. So it was unfortunate, but I traveled back to Illinois to acknowledge what had took place there. And while I was there, the feds picked me up for an old case from 2008 that was approximately 4.5 years old. So, in the process of grieving, I'm faced with a federal indictment. They put me on house arrest on pretrial services, so I fought the case for 18 months. And during the time I was fighting the case, she gave birth. I had a great attorney. He allowed me to put in a motion, or he assisted me in putting in a motion. And I was able to travel back to Arizona. One time, the baby was an infant, but I did see the baby. I thought the baby looked like me, but with a lifestyle, I just really couldn't be sure. Eventually, I went back to Chicago. I self-surrendered, went to federal prison, and I did 3 years. In the course of the 3 years, I sent her money a couple times off my books for the baby.
All right, ma'am. He sounds convincing.
Yeah.
He sounds very convincing because he's comprehensive and he's listing facts, or at least he's listing facts as he understands them in sequential order.
So you're suing him about child expenses. Let's get to that part.
Correct. So in the midst of all of this, he's telling the truth. His family is really supportive, and they tell me about his character and how he's a good person in the community, and with his nieces and stuff.
Well, since he returned from...
Yes.
Okay, good. Are you what you doing? And since you come home, let me get to this, ma'am. You raised something that I want to know about. What you been doing since you come home?
I'm mentoring kids. I started a foundation called Brothers Moving Forward.
Brothers Moving Forward?
Yeah, so we pretty active in the community. We get back to the homeless. We mentor kids. I wrote the first of a 3-part series here, a book, Exit 312. I bought one for you, Judge.
Thank you.
Let me say this real quick, brothers. And it's by no means to besmirch what this cat here is doing. But I touched on this in a couple of other videos, and I'll be expounding on it down the line. But this notion of quote-unquote OGs guiding the community, the only thing, once again, that an OG could tell you is how not to fuck up like how he fucked up. In communities that are flourishing, they have what are called elders. Elders are people who tell you about your history, your culture, and what you should do, how you should go about doing it. Not telling you what not to do. They could tell you what to do. And that's a major issue because we have generations of children who feel like they have to blaze their own path because their parents and their grandparents don't have anything beneficial to teach them or tell them. So, unfortunately, we have a lot of cats like this who become quote-unquote OGs and advisors and mentors, and there's nothing against him. It's great that he's trying to do something to controvert some of the damage that he waged on his own community. But we have to return back to that paradigm of having actual elders. That's how we invest in the next generation so that our people can move upward, at least for however much longer we're in this captivity. But he's not a teacher. It's no disrespect to him. The brother's not a teacher. He's a quote-unquote OG. He can go and tell these young boys out here who are infatuated with that same destructive lifestyle what not to do, but he can't tell them what to do.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so it's the first of a 3-part series about overcoming the struggle. I just want to let people involved in that way of life know that there's 2 sides to every coin, and everything that glitters not gold. So I just want to be an example of that side and tell them if you did what I did, you're gonna get what I got, and it's really not worth it.
Yeah, I applaud you because you're the type of mentor that these young people who live in impoverished areas listen to.
Yes, unfortunately, that is true. He's the type of person that young people will listen to.
So I applaud you.
Thanks, I appreciate
it. But on the financial side, you tell me how that's been, because that's your primary lawsuit, it appears, for $1,400.
Correct. So from 9/17 to March 2018, he was like, he'll give me $200 a month for my son, which that only really cover our daycare, but that's not the point. He said he's going to give me $200 a month. He hasn't he hasn't been giving me the money like he said. Like sometimes he'll give me $100 here and there, but not $200.
You never sought out a court order for child support?
We have one ongoing, actually. He refused. No, I don't have it with me, but it's in the state of Arizona, but he refused to do the DNA test. But since we did one here, we all good and set to go.
Sir, what do you want to say about this?
Well, you know, my honest opinion, I believe the child do look like me in the case. But with a young woman of her magnitude, you never really could be too short.
My man said with a young woman of her magnitude. I think he means maybe of her personality type or of her proclivities, what she likes to do. In other words, he's calling her a $2 hoe.
I mean, he has 4 kids with 4 different mothers in 3 different states, so he was upwards.
How old are they?
I agree with that. She countered with the fact that he's a quote-unquote Rolling Stone, but that also just attests to the quote-unquote appeal of the degenerate in our community.
Hey, how old are
your kids?
12, 9, 8, 5.
Okay. All right, that's when he was in the street. So he's changed his life now.
He has 2 alleged kids as well
All
out in
right.
Chicago.
You say alleged. So my point is, all that is in his past. I think he's changing his life. I think he's going to support those children the best he can, both financially and emotionally. I just believe it. But we're going to get the test. A lot of young men don't want to go to child support court or the child support agency to assess their child support, but I think that's the best route, because what happens is if you pay out your pocket, you have to rely on her telling the judge when there is an issue that she was satisfied with the amount you've given her in the past.
In other words, brothers, what the judge is saying in a roundabout way is never leave it up to a woman to tell the truth. Never leave it up to another person, period, to tell the truth. Always have your proof on hand. But if you have a so-called baby mama, you have to hope that she has the integrity when faced in a situation or a scenario like being in a court of law where she's going to say something that's going to benefit you. And you just can't take that chance.
But that depends on her mood that day.
Brothers, you hear that? The judge basically confirmed what I've been telling you for a while. You have to depend on the mood or the whims of a woman that day to hope that everything is going to be beneficial for you. Let me rewind this back a little bit.
What happens is if you pay out your pocket, you have to rely on her telling the judge when there is an issue that she was satisfied with the amount you've given her in the past. But that depends on her mood that day. She called, well, Your Honor, or magistrate, I've given her $200 a month for the like. No, I haven't given you $200. Nope. You gave me a thing. No, nothing about it. You don't remember me giving it? Nope.
That's not me.
Show me some receipts. I don't have no receipts. I gave you the money cash. Nope, don't remember it. Don't know nothing about it. So the judge doesn't give you credit for that. You could have done that for 3 years. So you better handle things a little better. You are the father.
I mean, if you do that.
Do you want to pay the $1,400, sir?
I got a payout here where basically I got $300 sent and $500 sent in the time in question, so that would leave me to owe approximately $600.
Okay.
I got a ton of receipts.
You willing to pay the $600?
Well, you know what?
Well, Your Honor, right now, problem is that my checking account only has $599 in it.
You know what, Your Honor?
I don't think those receipts is applicable.
Sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, man. I done built you up. I done sold books for you. I done built, man, you done play crazy over $600? Good luck for both of you, you and your child as well. Have a good day.
Oh, he's cute.
Good to see you, man. No, your mom brought me here trying to sue me, man. Look at her.
Chicken nuggets ain't cheap. I always want chicken nuggets.
Thanks. Y'all take care of y'all kids. All right, thanks.
This bro said chicken nuggets ain't cheap. Chicken nuggets ain't chicken. But anyway, brothers, once again, remember, paternity test should be mandatory. Do not hesitate to have that paternity test done. When that woman claims that she's pregnant and when she brings forth the child, you have that paternity test done so that you can verify that you are indeed the father. And hopefully you've done your due diligence to vet that woman and make sure that she actually is somebody that you want to impregnate. But anyway, peace.